say something.
Hi, I'm Ros Atkins. Welcome back to World Have Your Say. We've been talking about the violence during the Pakistani election campaign. You're very welcome to carry on that discussion at facebook.com/World Have Your Say or on the hashtag WHYS. But over the next 20 minutes or so here on BBC World News, we're going to talk about Guantanamo Bay because President Obama has come out, reiterated a claim he made over 5 years ago, which is that he wants to shut Camp Delta. Whether he's going to be able to and whether he's right to try is the matter of fierce debate, and we're going to get into some of this over the next few minutes. Let me introduce you to some of our guests. Lee Casey is a former Justice Department lawyer under Presidents Reagan and George H.W. Bush, and Hilary Stauffer is Deputy Director of Reprieve. Now, that's a legal charity which investigates human rights abuses, particularly relating to the so-called war on terror. On our third screen, you'll be able to see guests from the BBC's language services who we'll speak to in a moment. But Lee Casey and Hilary Stauffer, let me start with you. Lee, perhaps I could come to you first in Washington, D.C. Is President Obama right to say now is the time to shut this camp?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think he will be very successful in his efforts to shut it. It serves a critical purpose. It keeps certain very dangerous individuals out of the war. And it also keeps a number of what you might call foot soldiers from returning to the battle. And it, therefore, really, we can't do without it.
Hilary?
I disagree completely. It is the time to shut Guantanamo, and it has been the time to shut Guantanamo for over 5 years now, if not for over 11 years, how long it's been open. You know, at its height, Guantanamo had 779 men. Now there's 166. That means close to 600 have been released or transferred already, which means that they were never there for the right reasons in the first place. So the remaining men have all been classified, and the majority of them are approved for release. So why are we keeping it open?
Lee?
Well, I think, first of all, with respect to those that have been released, a decision was made that those individuals could safely be released, that they could be reintegrated into civilian society, or at least released to governments who would monitor their activities, and so they were not such a danger. There are indeed people at Guantanamo now who have been also cleared for release. The problem is that it has been impossible, as I understand it, for the administration to find a country that they could be sent to that would be both willing and able to keep a watch on them and to reintegrate them into civilian society. And so that is why a large number of people who have been cleared have not actually been released. And so long as this conflict with al-Qaeda goes on, we are going to need a place to house certainly the people who have not been cleared for release. And Guantanamo is the best possible place.
It's not the best possible place, though. They should just be transferred and tried in civilian courts. There's no reason they can't be transferred and tried in civilian courts. There have been over 500 terrorism trials in the New York City federal court system. There's no reason these men can't be transferred and tried in regular courts. And the ones that have been approved for transfer, the administration hasn't tried very hard to find anywhere that can take them. They could immediately get rid of 30 men tomorrow if they lifted the moratorium on Yemenis. The Yemeni government wants their men back. And the recidivism rate is actually very low. Since Guantanamo took office, it's something like 4%. Out of 72 people that have been released, there's 4 that the Director of National Intelligence thinks have returned to the fight. So this is an overblown argument about the danger that's required here.
And Lee, I'll give you a chance to respond to Hilary, but as she's mentioned Yemen, this is a good opportunity for me to introduce a video which we've received from Sarah Ahmed, an activist in Yemen. We approached her to record this video for us, and this is what she sent us.
Guantanamo is an illegal prison. It's a prison that must be closed. There was a promise 4 years ago to close it, and the promise was not fulfilled yet. It's a place where people are detained without any fair trial, and they're tortured as well. As a Yemeni, I feel that I am a potential terrorist, just like any other Yemeni, until we prove the opposite. This is why my friends and I here started a 24-hour fast, along with other people in the world, to support the hunger strikers in Guantanamo. The hashtag is Fast for Gitmo, to spread awareness on how Guantanamo must be closed ASAP.
And Sarah, they're referring to hunger strikes because, of course, with the situation in Guantanamo at the moment. Over 100 of the prisoners there are on hunger strike and have been since February. I mean, Lee Casey, what about the point made in that video that Guantanamo Bay risks doing so much damage to America's reputation in the world? You risk radicalizing someone who might otherwise never, ever want to take up arms against America.
Sure. Well, that, to be honest, is an argument we hear very often. Whether it's with respect to Guantanamo Bay, global warming, the rights of the child treaty, the International Criminal Court, anytime the United States takes a position that is not in conformity with international opinion, we are warned that we will be destroying our leadership status, we will be radicalizing people, and to be honest, the argument's wearing a bit thin. But in response, the fact is you have to balance that against the potential dangers of letting some of these people go. And Yemen is a good example. I mean, I think that is one of the administration's concerns, is that the Yemeni government is not capable of properly monitoring these individuals and reintegrating them into civilian society.
Well, Hillary, let's talk about that, because Ali Abdullah Saleh has recently been driven from power by anti-government protests, but you have faith in what has taken over from him being able to deal with these prisoners in an appropriate way?
I do, but it's not my opinion that matters. The Yemenis are an ally of the United States. We work with them often and we give them a lot of money. So if we're supporting their military budget, but we don't think they're responsible enough to take back 30 of their own citizens that our government, 6 agencies of the U.S. government, have decided are not a danger to anybody, the logic doesn't make any sense. Either Yemen is an ally and we trust them, or they're not and we don't. But to say we trust them for some things and not for others doesn't really make sense. And these men have been approved for transfer. 6 agencies agreed that they were not a danger, and they're never going to be tried. It is not an option to hold people in indefinite detention until we find a better option. We've created this problem and we have to solve it.
Hillary, you're live from the newsroom here at the BBC. Lee is live from our bureau in Washington, D.C. Let's go several floors up from where Hillary is sitting and talk to 3 of our colleagues, Raphael from BBC Mundo, Mai from BBC Arabic and Emal from BBC Afghan. All 3 of you have been posting to your audiences about this discussion. I wonder what you've been getting back.
Hi, I'm Emal. Yes, Guantanamo issue is a very sensitive issue in Afghanistan, and everybody is interested to talk about it. So there's plenty of interest in it, and on BBC Pashto Facebook, we got over 70 comments so far on it.
For BBC Arabic as well, this debate is stirring a lot of comments, mostly comments saying that Guantanamo should and needs to be closed quickly, and the detainees need to be returned back to their countries.
Exactly, that's the same point for the people in Latin America. They think the Guantanamo Bay has to be closed. More about the problem with detainees in the hunger strike. They think, well, it's brutal what is happening, but they have the right to survive. They have the right to be in a strike, but at the same time, they need to look after them. So it's quite complicated and sensitive issue.
I'll come back and speak to you a little bit more in a moment. And by the way, if you're watching and speak Pashto or Arabic or Spanish and would like to take part in the discussion with my colleagues at BBC Mundo, BBC Afghan and also BBC Arabic, do get all of their contact details through bbcworldservice.com. We're going to be back with our guests in just a moment. If you've got a point that you'd like to make to them, get us on the WHYS hashtag or on Facebook. What we're talking about, 2 things really. It's President Obama to want to shut, is he right to want to shut Camp Delta? But then second, can he do it even if he wants to?
Let me say something.
Hello. We've seen record May snowfall in the Midwest, and we're seeing near record May temperatures across Southern California. The Santa Ana winds blowing in once again across the Sierra Nevada, really picking the temperatures up during Friday. Rather more comfortable further north across British Columbia. As we head further south, watch the temperatures rise. 35 in San Diego, for example, and as I say, it's rarely been hotter than that at this time of the year. On into Central America, well, more normal to find some heavy showers around. There'll be plenty of those across Nicaragua, for example, and Guatemala, and northern parts of the Caribbean also prone to some fairly heavy showers. The normal batch of showers across the Amazon basin into the northeast of Peru. Sunnier skies, though, across a good part of Chile, particularly north of Santiago. Santiago dry, but highs around 19 degrees. Further south, plenty of rain pushing in from the southern oceans, to be expected really at this time of the year. Some snow perhaps over the Andes, but more sunshine for Santiago come Saturday. Again, those temperatures levelling off at around about 19 degrees, nearer 22 in Los Angeles, so things set to cool down and become much more comfortable here as we go into the weekend. That's it. Bye-bye.
A rich historic heritage and a toxic political past. Andrew Graham Dixon unearths the art that has shaped modern Germany.
You can really sense that spirit of idealism.
Discovering work that is unafraid.
This is an aggressively modern object.
Uncovering monuments from past regimes.
A chilling work of art.
And imagining a future where anything is possible.
This art changed the way Germany is today.
Art of Germany starts 4th of May on BBC World News.
You can have a lot of variety here. You're not just playing a stage, you're playing a park. It's beautiful because usually when you have a conductor shot, you have a back of the concert hall or maybe audience member, but here you see one of the most beautiful castles all the time behind him, Schönbrunn, you know. And you can't stop watching the relation of the music happening and the beautiful architecture in the background. And the same way on the other side, you have the wide angle with the lovely gloriette. And then you can work different moods and colors and shading. The wonderful thing here as well, having our possibilities of light and light design, it never looks the same. It changes from piece to piece. So I think every program, every year has its own challenge, and it's part of, I think it's part of the fun, you know, to find the solutions.
Oil companies have changed my country.
Oil companies can make a difference.
We have the chance to rebuild the economy,
create jobs, keep people healthy, and improve schools.
And our communities.
In Angola, Chevron helped train engineers, teachers, and farmers, launched health programs. It's not just good business.
I'm hopeful about my country's future.
It's my country's future.
Here's something sports fans can cheer about. The new BBC Sport app is now available on Android and iPhone. Keep up with your favourite sports wherever you are, whenever you want. Check live scores as they happen around the world. Share your top stories. Source results, fixtures, and all the latest breaking news. It's easy to stay up to date with world sports news using the BBC Sport mobile app. Download it now for free.
Well, never doubt the amount of people who want to talk about Guantanamo Bay. The issue has been reignited by, first of all, the hunger strike involving over 100 prisoners, and now President Obama saying he's revisiting the issue. He's